Good Wednesday morning. It's time for your farm news on the Ohio AgNet. Broadcasting from the Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio. Sponsored by BASF and Veltima Fungicide. The proven #1 for the toughest corn diseases with long-lasting residual when you need to be confident your fungicide will perform. I'm Tolpan Norwood joining you this morning. County fair season rolls along in the local Connection Ag County Fair Tour. First stop is coming up Monday, the 27th, with their first check presentation of the season. That'll be going to the Union County Junior Fair Board. We'll be there. Join us as we broadcast from the Union County Fair on Monday. And the Ohio State Fair starts a week from today. Isn't that hard to believe? And new this year, a revamping of the livestock show schedule. That's one of our stories online today at ohioagnet.com. And let's talk about our news rundown delivered to you by Ebert's Field Seeds, delivering proven local seed performance to Ohio farmers. It's time to start planting Ebert's. Call us at 937-473-2521. The Ohio State Fair runs 12 days, and this year they've changed their livestock schedule to keep more animals and competitions on the grounds during that time. July 29th through August 9th, shows involving cattle, sheep, swine, poultry, goats, and other species will take place daily. Also, exhibitors expect to see upgraded wash racks, restrooms, cattle ties, fencing, and paving this year, along with several new and renovated fair buildings. The full details online at ohioagnet.com. Also there, the latest episode of the Field Leader Podcast, where they're talking soybean disease management with Dr. Horacio Lopez-Nicora and Dr. Taylor Dill. And the American Farm Bureau is looking at some possible policy solutions to fertilizer challenges that farmers are facing right now. Joe Everett checks in.
America's farmers are feeling the squeeze of high input costs, especially when it comes to fertilizer. American Farm Bureau economist Faith Parham says a new white paper analyzes the problem in more detail.
AFBF released a fertilizer white paper called A Strategic Fertilizer Response, Policy Considerations for U.S. Agriculture, to talk about the volatility we have all seen in the fertilizer market, some of the actions that USDA, the administration, and Congress are taking to stabilize that market, and policy considerations for things we can do in the future.
She goes on to say that the fertilizer market is a global market, so anytime there is a disruption, the impact is felt around the world.
It makes prices more expensive here at home. And so this just helps outline some key policy areas where Congress and the administration can look at to help smooth out that volatility. Things like increasing domestic production, increasing fertilizer transparency. There's been some talk about a fertilizer reserve, so it looks into what a fertilizer reserve would even look like.
Now that the paper has been published, she talks about what's next.
So next, it's up to our Farm Bureau members in their policy development process as counties across the country get together to talk about the challenges they face and the policy they want to see implemented here in Washington. And the white paper poses some questions to help get that discussion going. And you can find the white paper at fb.org/fertilizer.
Again, that was Faith Parham of the Farm Bureau. For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Joe Everett reporting.
Bit of a change in the weather as a cool one has swept in overnight. The Ag Weather Forecast brought to you by Seed Genetics Direct, the #1 fastest growing and largest Ohio-based independent seed company. Here's Ryan.
Scattered showers and thunderstorms around through the rest of the day. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Quick forecast update here in Ohio. We still have a chance for some strong to severe thunderstorm action central and southern parts of Ohio this afternoon. I don't think moisture completely winds down across the state until we get closer to sunrise tomorrow morning. Still can see another quarter to inch and a half fall depending on where you're at with these strong thunderstorms. And then we are cooler and less humid for a few days. Temperatures slowly building toward the end of the week, but still comfortable. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thank you, Ryan. In other farm news today, U.S. dairy organizations are supporting the administration's decision to impose an additional 50% tariff on selected Canadian imports, including certain dairy products. The tariff is scheduled to take effect August 19th under Section 338 of the Tariff Act of 1930. Dairy groups say Canada has restricted the market access promised to American producers through its management of dairy tariff rate quotas under the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. Meanwhile, the financial outlook remains difficult for crop producers. The American Farm Bureau Federation tells us farmers producing 9 major crops will lose a combined $31 billion this year and $32 billion in 2027 as far as forecasts go without additional federal assistance. Every crop included in the analysis is projected to remain below break-even next year as lower commodity prices and elevated production expenses continue squeezing margins. U.S. pork exports remain a relative bright spot today. Through May, exports totaled 1.28 million metric tons. That's valued at $3.59 billion. Both volume and value were 5% above last year, with Mexico remaining the largest customer and shipments to Japan showing substantial growth. And USDA has certified the Farmers Innovation Fund as a rural business and investment company backed primarily by farm credit institutions. The fund will invest in early-stage agricultural technology companies and connect developers with farmers to test new products under actual operating conditions. Stay tuned. We'll be talking more farm news coming up next.
If your summer road trip leads you to Ohio's farm country, be sure to share the road with Ohio's farmers. Farm machinery moves slowly, makes wide turns, and needs extra space to avoid obstacles like mailboxes and guardrails. Let's all be mindful and make sure everyone gets home safe and sound this year. This message brought to you by the Ohio AgNet, OSU Extension Ag Safety and Health Team, and this station.
What's better than getting the trusted farm news you count on from Ohio's Country Journal? Having a chance to win a brand new Arctic Ultra Tough cooler. The Ohio's Country Journal sweepstakes are back. Subscribe or renew your subscription today, and you'll be entered for a chance to win one of two 45-quart Arctic Ultra Tough coolers. Just visit ocj.com/renew for official rules and to complete your subscription or renewal for your chance to win. Ohio's Country Journal, your source for Ohio farm news.
You're listening to the Ohio AgNet. Our own Allison Kinney checks in talking about how insect activity could be sneaking up on us in this quiet July.
Joining me today is Kelly Tillman, the State Extension Specialist and Professor of Entomology at The Ohio State University. We're going to be talking about summer crop pest. Thanks for joining us today, Kelly.
Thanks for having me.
So what are key pests farmers should be scouting for in mid to late summer right now?
So there are things that we see at certain times of year. Some years we don't really see them. It depends on the year and on the conditions. And so this is just in general what we look for. I will say that so far in July, it's been a pretty quiet on the insect front in field crops. So we don't have any panic situations at the moment. But these are a few of the things that I like to tell people just to be on the lookout for. As we get into mid-July through late August, things that defoliate soybean are on our radar. Those can be a range of different pests. For example, there's a lot of different caterpillar species and Japanese beetles that will chew holes in soybean leaves. And our defoliation threshold is when the pod is developing and filling, we can tolerate 10 to 15% defoliation in soybean. In July, in forages, all the way through early September, I tell people to be on the lookout for potato leaf hoppers, for example, in alfalfa. And those tend to be worse in dry weather, and we've had pretty good moisture so far. So July is also Western bean cutworm month in corn. And this pest varies widely from year to year. We have seen a little bit of an uptick in Northeast Ohio. We do a monitoring network on this where extension educators in different parts of the state monitor traps every week. And we report those results in the corn newsletter. And then stink bugs start to make their first appearance in soybean in July, the latter part of July, but this tends to be more of an August thing.
And how is pest pressure this year comparing to typical growing seasons?
So July is usually pretty quiet up until mid-July. The next couple of weeks will tell whether we have any emerging issues to keep an eye on, but I would say it's been maybe a little quieter than average so far this year, so I'm just kind of keeping my ear to the ground and keeping my eyes on the fields to see what's happening.
Yeah. What mistakes are you most commonly seeing in summer pest management?
I think people have a tendency to over-apply insecticide as insurance when they don't need to, especially if they're going over the field anyway for weed or disease control. And the thinking is, well, I'm going over the field anyway, I might as well put some insecticide in the tank with the other stuff. And we're working on such narrow profit margins these days that any little bit you can save is to the good. And so if you don't have an active pest problem that you're trying to manage, you can save, on the order of $5, $10, $15 an acre, depending on the product you use, by not using that insecticide if you don't need it. Also, insecticides can sometimes flare certain pests. That's something some people don't know. Some insecticides, particularly things in the pyrethroid class, flare spider mites or aphids. So that's an active reason to avoid it, especially in dry weather.
You touched on this, the little bit of extra application of the insecticide or a pesticide, but how have those resistance concerns changed the way producers are approaching their insect management?
We are always staying in touch with our colleagues throughout the country to see what insecticide resistance things are cropping up. In the southern U.S., for example, there is increasing concern about insecticide resistance in stink bugs, which we do have stink bug problems, especially soybean in Ohio periodically. So far, we have not seen that as a particular problem in Ohio, but we are actually starting a research project to develop tools that will allow us to monitor for insecticide resistance in soybean as an early warning system.
So as growers are heading into the latter part of the season, what are your top recommendations for staying ahead of pest problems?
I really recommend you keep an eye on the fields, actually go into the field, walk around a little bit, look and just see what you're seeing. And forewarned is forearmed. A lot of pest problems, you can see them coming down the pike before they actually cause you yield loss. So that awareness is really important. That's the number one thing. And then the number two thing is if you do see insects in the field, consult OSU Extension resources to find what that level is that's really enough to worry about. Because there's always insects in the field, always. It's really the question is there enough to cause me enough yield loss to warrant the cost of treating them? And so don't panic spray. Do a little bit of digging to find out what the recommended action thresholds are and use that as your guideline.
And again, joining me today is Kelly Tillman. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Allison.
Good talk, and further details online at ohioagnet.com if you'd like to find out more. Let's talk markets coming up next when the Ohio AgNet continues.
Looking for heavy equipment but don't know where to buy? Purple Wave Auction has you covered. Always online and always no reserve. It's your destination for construction or ag equipment ready to work. We even sell semis, trailers, and fleet equipment for your operation. Best part? It's free to join. Head to purplewave.com. That's purplewave.com. Sign up for a free account and start bidding today. Purple Wave Auction, the easiest and most straightforward way to buy and sell equipment.
Life on the farm moves fast, and so does the news that matters to you. Stay ahead with the Digital Daily from Ohio AgNet and Ohio's Country Journal. Each morning, get the top ag headlines, market trends, weather updates, and the stories shaping Ohio agriculture, all delivered right to your inbox. It's free, it's easy, and it keeps you informed before the day gets going. Sign up now at ohioagnet.com for the Digital Daily and get yours first thing in the morning.
This morning's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company, excited to bring a brand new soybean crush facility to Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Learn more about marketing your soybeans with LDC at 574-566-2113.
Grain markets finished on a mixed note yesterday. After a quite red or quite negative overnight session, grains eased as we got into day trade. Corn overall was slightly higher. Soybeans sagged, and the wheat crop was caught in the middle overall. There was a little bit of a recovery based on rising EU and Brazilian cash wheat and corn prices. Brazilian cash ethanol demand for corn is strengthening on top of strong margins down there. Limited rainfall is forecast for the northern plains and upper Midwest over the next couple of weeks. The Wheat Quality Council tour happening in the northern plains for spring wheat. Corn ratings also fell sharply across the northern plains in the Monday report. That's part of the reason why that expectation was part of the reason why the week started stronger in corn and soybeans both, but it was only able to continue yesterday in corn. Crude oil futures down sharply yesterday as well. I'm Ryan Martin.
The latest overnight market numbers from the Chicago Board of Trade seeing September corn up 2 3/4 cents to $4.55 1/4. December new crop corn $4.78 1/4 per bushel. That's a 3-cent gain. August soybeans 2 3/4 cents up to $12.22 1/4. New crop beans up 1 1/4 to 12.24, and September wheat gaining 5 1/4 to 6.83 1/4. Livestock had a relatively steady Tuesday as we looked back to their close. August cattle gained 15 cents to 226.68. September feeder cattle lost $1.28 to 344.98 per hundredweight. Hogs up with August at 101.50. That's a 23-cent gain. October hogs up 40 cents to 88.13. And milk overall about 3 cents down at the moment. That's a look at farm news. You can find more online at ohioagdat.com. I'm Joel Norwood. This is the Ohio AgDat. Thanks for tuning in.